Ryan, what do we love?
We love ghost stories.
And what do we have?
We have people with ghost stories.
So what are we going to do?
We're going to listen to those ghost stories.
Let's get spooky.
Let's get spooky.
I grew up in Southern Maryland, and my family lived in a haunted house. Which
How did you know it was like just saying that? How did you know it was haunted? Was that something your parents told you, or was that like
it just was something that, like, as we got older and we started like reflecting back on our times there, that we were like, yeah, that place was haunted. I think like because I was young when we lived there, but my mom definitely felt it when we were there, but we were kind of younger. So I think it was only once we got older that we all started sharing stories and started being like, oh, that's interesting. I think I have a picture of the house too, because it really is a spooky little spooky house, if I can find it. But we lived there, I want to say like early 2000s. Oh yeah, here it is. I don't know how well you'll be able to see
Yeah,
it.
can you actually, if I give you my number, will you shoot
Yes.
that to me, and then I'll have Matt edit that in?
Yes.
That picture is already like, it's already blown out. Like it's
I know.
I can't tell if it's just from the screen or not, but I'm like,
It's
that looks spooky
creepy.
as hell. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like I think the coloring too, and there's like our van is parked there, and there's I feel like a telltale sign of a haunted house is like one of those small circle windows.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which this house has.
That's for Victorian children to
Yes,
peek
to
out.
look. Yes. And I think it was like the window to the attic. So like no one was really ever in that window, but something was. So yeah, so we grew up in this house, and I'll kind of jump over because there's a couple different stories to the main story. But my mom, I have three siblings, so there's four of us, and my dad at the time was working all the time, so he was constantly out of town. So a lot of times my mom was left alone with four kids in this house, and she had told us this story where she was like, watching all of us, and she would go to bed at night and she would just feel like somebody was standing next to the bed, like as if a child was standing next to the bed. And then she would kind of like open her eyes, and it's like pitch black and she wouldn't see anything, but she would sometimes see just like red eyes, or what she thought was red eyes. And then she would just try to like close her eyes and be like, I'm not seeing that. I'm going to bed. I'm keeping my eyes closed. And then, we lived there a couple years, and one night my older sister, who was young at the time, told my mom, like, she's putting her to bed, and she's like, Mom, I want you to take my dolls and like turn them away from the bed. I don't want the dolls looking at the bed. And my mom's like, why don't you want the dolls looking at the bed? And she's like, because they turn at me and they have red eyes.
Ugh.
So my mom's like, okay, that's weird. I'm just gonna try to ignore that. And then when my mom was home alone with us at night, one night, she's laying in bed. And so I have an older sister named Erin. I have an older brother named Jake. Then it's me, and then I have a younger sister. So just for context.
Yep.
So my brother was in the middle of the night, and my mom's bedroom was like facing out to the hallway, and there's like stairs going down, and she kept her door open because we're young children. And she's in bed, and she just hears my brother saying, Erin, what are you doing? Erin? And she opens her eyes, and he's standing at the top of the stairs looking down. And she's like, Jake, what are you doing? And he's like, not listening to her. And he's just like, Erin, what are you doing? Why are you down there? And she's like, Jake, what are you doing? And he just in an instant like goes like, and then shoots back and jumps up against the wall and starts sobbing. And my mom like runs out and is like, what's going on? And he was like, Erin was just downstairs, and she was walking around, and then she just turned to me and she had red eyes. And my mom's like, what is happening? So she quickly goes and like checks on my sister, because she's like, what? And my sister's just asleep in the bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's like, this is weird. I'm feeling this. I'm seeing this. Both of my little kids have made mentions. And it's not like my mom was telling us these stories. You know, we were really young. And then my instance of the story was the way you'll see in the picture, but the house had really creepy woods behind it. And they were always very dark. Like I just felt like light was never getting through there. And so us as children were always afraid of like the backwoods. We never went near them. And I was playing with my soccer ball and I like kicked it and it rolled up to like, you know, the line of the woods. And I was like, oh, okay, I have to run and grab it as fast as I can and get out of there. And so I like run up and I grab it and I look up and I just see like the shadow figure standing in the woods with
No.
like, yeah. And then I just hear like a scream of a child and I just run like back into the house as fast as I could.
Shadow figure, you mean like a human figure in a shadow, like a dark form?
Yeah, it kind like the way I describe it, it just was like, I think maybe I was trying to imagine that it was a person, but it just was very dark, shadowy, but it just was like right there, like looming over
Oh,
me.
my God.
So all of those, you know, stories were really stories we only began to talk about once we left the house. And so more of my family members started coming out in the years with their stories. So what had happened was my aunt has 4 kids and they would come and see us sometimes, and they kind of stopped coming to visit us. And then the oldest son told my aunt, he was like, when he was little, he was like, I don't want to go to like Aunt Patty's house, my mom. He's like, I don't want to go to Aunt Patty's house. Like, Aunt Patty's mean to me. She's mean to me. And my Aunt Lisa was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, she's not mean to you. Like, what, you know? But I was like, okay. And then years later, like my cousin, like confronted our family and was like, yeah, you know, I lied about that. I just really couldn't come to the house and see that girl with the red eyes.
Oh no.
Oh, why
Yeah.
are so many people seeing this?
And it was like like he was a full adult and he told us this, and like he was telling us not knowing that
Yeah.
we all like have talked about this girl with the red eyes that we've all seen.
Man.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even my grandpa was like, oh yeah, I've like seen her. And I kind of feel bad because the people my family sold the house to was like a newly wed couple with a
And you're like,
baby.
hey, you're gonna love it here. It's great times. Be careful with the soccer ball in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yes, be careful and don't talk to the girl with the red eyes.
Yeah, like the doorknob sticks. There's some creaky floorboards. Don't talk to the people with the red eyes. Well,
Plumbing
good
is-
luck.
Plumbing is pretty solid. Be careful of the red eyes.
Yeah.
Not a lot of water pressure in the downstairs bathroom. Don't look at the red eyes.
Yeah.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute, Devin. Have you ever looked into like the history of the house or anything?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a while, so I don't want to be like this is 100% facts, but I'm pretty sure we did like research on the home in the area, and I think that it used to be an old airport, like a really old airport. Yeah, that's like I think because it was like I think the area like maybe it was like a government airport or something like that. But I'm like, why was there a girl with the red eyes? I don't fully know. I feel like I need to do more research on it, but the neighborhood itself was very creepy. Like one of the houses next door to us, like we never saw the neighbors, and we one time like went down to see their house and they had like, you know, sheets over everything, like very like what's going on with this house.
Wow.
And even now that I'm older, I can kind of think about this, but our next door neighbors had a dog, and the dog would often get out of the house and he would always run over to our house and just like bark at our house, like lose his mind, like
Wow.
freak out,
Wow.
barking at our house. And so when we were younger, we were just like, they have a bad dog that's like
That's
like-
how crazy.
That
Yeah.
dog's crazy.
Yeah.
But
And the dog's like,
now-
I'm doing everything I can to warn these people.
He's like, I'm trying to let you know.
I'm such a good boy. And then-
Yes. I feel so bad now because I'm like, this poor dog. It's like in every horror movie where the dog
Yeah.
realizes first and they're like, stop barking.
yeah.
And it's
Dog's
like-
yeah.
get
No.
out of
Yeah.
the house.
He's like trying to tell us this news. Yeah.
That's wild. I hope, like, God, I would be so interested in researching the history of that house. Do you even know like what year it was built or anything like that?
No, I don't know. You know, even looking at the pictures of it, I'm like, ugh. But
Yeah.
I would have to do more research on it. But
That must have been
what-
so interesting to talk to other family members and have everybody be like, wait a second.
yes.
Finally, we can talk about this. So what did you do? And you just kind of like going around like,
Yeah, it was really, and even still to this day, like we'll talk about it and like my mom gets upset and she's like, I don't want to talk about that place.
Patty, you gotta talk about it.
I think because, and I, you know, if you guys are believers in ghosts or ghost stories, I think that there's some people of the mindset of like either ghosts haunt places or things or they haunt people.
Yeah.
And so I know that my mom and other family members have had, and I have had other experiences. So I think my mom's like, if we talk about it, then it's going to like
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
here too.
So you're saying your mom will probably not come on and talk to us?
I feel like she would. She has some crazy stories from her her childhood haunted house as well.
Well, I would.
His,
I
history
would
of haunted
love to
houses.
Yes,
I'd
even
love-
my cousins have had a haunted house too, and there was always weird stuff. I feel like my family just attracts ghosts. Maybe I'm supposed to be a medium. I don't know.
Hey, no, that's crazy. That's
There's still time.
There is, yeah. Could still do it.
The stories that intrigue me the most are when there's multiple people talking about the same things in one area. And when you come together, you know, years after the fact and you're like, wait, you experienced something too? Those are probably the most powerful stories for me because it's not just one person saying like, I feel like this. It's you have a
Yeah.
group of people going like, yeah, this place is nuts.
Yeah. I
This-
think that's what's so crazy about it is like I think we all were experiencing things and then trying to brush it off. But then when you just have everybody being like, I saw literally the exact same thing, you're like, this is
Yeah. The consistency and specificity of those eyes is
the
like,
red eyes.
and that it was like a childlike red eyes, you know, that you're
Yeah.
like, that's just so that's
you
so
also heard a
creepy.
kid scream from the woods, right? Like, you
Yeah.
saw that shadow, heard a kid scream, and were like, and that was the end of soccer in the backyard.
It
Yeah.
really was. I was like, I'm never going in the backwoods ever again.
Oh, that must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was very crazy.
Well, I mean it, and I know there's a low chance of this, but if your mother would ever talk to us, I would be so gentle with her. I just would love to just interview her about the house and you guys as children and stuff. If she would ever,
Oh,
ever,
yeah.
I would, and I'd give her like, she could like decide what gets released or not, whether or not it gets out. But I just think it would be so interesting to hear it from her perspective.
Yeah.
If you ever bring it up to her, and she'll be like, "What? No,
She's like, I'm not doing that.
I don't think so."
Oh.
But
I'll
who
definitely,
knows? Maybe she would. Maybe she would.
yeah, I'll definitely bring it up to her, but who knows?
That's so good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Devin, thank you for sharing that. That was I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's
my
really
favorite
good.
type of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your sisters or brothers or Jake. You have two sisters and a brother. Is that it?
Yeah. I'll just get the whole family.
Honestly, like
We would do it. We would
any of them
100% if
because
they'll
it's
do it.
so these are my favorite where it's like you can look at your story and somebody else's and be like, oh my god, they really did see the same thing. But
Yeah, that's like I said kind of earlier, but my cousins also had a house and they used to call the ghost there Bob. I don't know why, but everybody has a story about that ghost. And it's the
Wow.
same thing, like as we got older, we would be like, oh yeah, that's terrifying and that happened to you, like
You met Bob?
God.
yes, yeah. And they were like, I think he's friendly. And I was like, I don't know. He's messing with us a little bit too much to be a friendly ghost.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, how do you know? It's so crazy.
I know. How do you know? But I feel like when they're trying to spook you, they're not friendly. But I don't know.
They're at least not friendly. They're at least
Yeah.
Mischievous,
aware they're-
maybe bored.
Yes.
Maybe bored. We don't
Maybe
know.
bored.
we just don't
Yes.
know.
You might be in their home. You know, there could be
Right.
some. You know, like
You
maybe
might be
they.
on their soccer field or in air.
Yeah,
You could be in their airport.
you're in their
Yes.
airport. And you're like, I
Yeah.
used to use my red eyes to direct flights. And now this family lives here.
Oh, red eyes and flights. Maybe
I
that's what
just
it
put
is.
that together.
I did too. There
The
you
red
go.
eye, which is weird on the West Coast. Oh, but you were on the East Coast.
Yes. Yep. Maryland. Southern Maryland.
Oh, Southern. You said that
Where-
like it was. You said that like it made it spookier. I like
It
that.
does. I think
Southern
like
Maryland.
if you look up some of like where like the most haunted places are, I feel like it's in Southern Maryland. maybe
Well,
I'm making that up, but
Oh man.
I bet you're right because there's so much history there. It's like, all those 13 colonies,
yes.
like-
Oof.
have crazy history. So,
Big
Yeah.
Roanoke guy, Ryan Gaul.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Loved.
I'm from Virginia, so
There we
there
go.
it is. There it is. So you know.
You know the
I
deal.
know. A lot of spookings happening.
Well, thank you, Devin. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing your story. And we'll let you know when this is we're gonna push this out
Okay.
and let your story be known. And we
Okay.
will come back to you and try to get you to let us talk to your family.
Okay. I'll try to get somebody from
Because
my
they-
family.
They honestly sound like the most interesting people I've ever heard of in my life. I
My
want to hear it. I want to hear it so bad.
Yeah.
At the
I
very
should.
least, we want to be invited to a family reunion at some
Yeah,
point.
I guess we're looking to go to South ML.
Yeah.
Oh, please come. Please
Or if a
come for
wedding
something.
comes up, maybe we come with you. It just, like figure out how to do it. But like,
Yeah. And then you guys can just go around and ask. There will be
Yeah.
a story from everybody in my family. I guarantee you.
I would love it.
a dream.
Wow.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
I'll send you that picture so you
Oh,
can.
yeah,
Yeah,
please.
please send that picture and have a great Saturday night.
Okay. You too. Stay spooky.
Thanks.
Yeah, stay spooky.
Bye.
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 Scare bones for Devin.
She was great. And I love that's honestly my favorite type of story is where you get like, it's not just somebody walking down the street and seeing something in a window. You're talking about a family that years after things are happening, you're seeing them come together and be like, wait, you experienced that too? And it's some like weird, like who knows what the red eyes are, but they could be, there's something that they're all experiencing in that
Yeah.
area. I
Yeah.
love that. That to me gets 8.5 scare bones. I love it.
I'm going to go 8.4 scare bones.
Just below.
Just below you. Really
below.
the exact same amount.
Yeah.
But
It's good.
so that I can put
great.
up two different numbers.
I think I also know like Devin's very like reasonable human. Again, anytime you hear a story from somebody who's super like they're smart and they're reasonable and you hear a story like that, I'm like, it just adds a little
Yeah.
credit to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
a whole
good.
family reporting the same thing. That's something. Maybe 8.7. I'm changing mine.
It's a lot of bones.
8.8. 8.8. That's a lot of bones.
You jumped. It's a lot of bones. It's
I'm
great.
jumping.
And by the way, we have to remember to harass her family.
Yes. Well, not harass her family, but get her family.
I think we should harass them.